Hello and greetings. In this video we're going to discover the hidden secrets of an unassuming village with a great historic and industrial heritage. A disused railway station, water wheel confusion, and a story of tragedy. Crikey, there's plenty to cover. Let's get started. During the 12th century, Bagillt was part of the kingdom of Gwynedd. Bagillt was the birthplace of Dafydd ab Llewellyn, who reigned as Prince of Wales from 1240. He was born at Hen Blas Castle, which today is a small pile of rubble on private land. Bagillt, like the rest of the Dee estuary, has a long history of industry. From ancient lead minings and workings, industries have included copper, iron, coal, chemicals and fibres. Much of this industrial heritage has faded away. However, we can still find fascinating clues in the landscape. Bagillt has a strong local community, although the centre of the village may seem underwhelming at first sight. It does, however, have this somewhat attractive, if sombre, war memorial. At the base is a verse by the Welsh bard Llewellyn. Of course, every name on this memorial is a tragedy. At the bottom of the list of names, we find this unusual entry of Ellen and Annie Crosby. They had emigrated in 1913 to Vancouver, Canada. Then, in May 1915, Annie and Ellen travelled from New York on the RMS Lusitania. They were intending to visit their family. Lusitania was south of the Old Head of Kinsale, Ireland, when she was sunk by a torpedo fired from a German U-boat. Both Ellen and Annie sadly died in the attack. Their brother, Thomas, is also named on the memorial. He too had emigrated to Canada. He joined the Canadian Overseas Expeditionary Force in 1914, and then he was wounded in June 1916, and he is buried in Lysenthoek Military Cemetery in Belgium. The road through Bagillt joins the dual carriageway bypass near to this filling station. The filling station itself is of little interest, although it does often have some very good prices. However, the industrial units at the far side of this scene are on the site of a former lead works. The area closer to us was the site of the Harden Ironworks. Now, if I tell you that the ironworks manufactured several water wheels, and I tell you that Bagillt is twinned with Laxey on the Isle of Man, you could be forgiven if you guess that the Laxey wheel was made right here in Bagillt. Sorry, but you'd be wrong. There's another water wheel in Laxey. It's called the Snaefell wheel. Now that water wheel was definitely manufactured right here in 1865. It was installed at the Snaefell Mining Company and operated until around 1910, when it was disassembled and sent to be used in Bodmin, Cornwall. The wheel had again fallen into disuse by the 1950s, and in 1971 was acquired by the Cornish Wheel Preservation Society, who later merged with the Trevithick Society, who still own the wheel today. In 1971, it was loaned to the Llewellyn silver lead mine in Ceredigion, Wales, but they never reconstructed it. In 2003, an effort was started to restore the wheel to its home in Laxey, and on the 20th of August 2006, the wheel had its official reopening ceremony and began turning for the first time in decades. You could say that it's been around a bit. It was one of a pair of identical water wheels. The other is believed to have been installed at the North Wales Lead Works just a couple of miles away from here. Bagillt has been separated from the River Dee twice. Once with the arrival of the railway in the 1840s, and again when the dual carriageway bypass was built in the 1960s, which we can see from this original railway footbridge. This open area was once filled with houses. On the right was the Cambrian brewery, which traded from the 1820s. The wall on which the blue plaque is mounted is the only remaining trace of the brewery buildings today. At the far side of the railway line is this area, which is today a community garden for local residents. However, historically, the site was home to Bagillt Copper Works. In 1850, Newton Keats and Company erected a factory here. It processed the blister copper, which was produced as a byproduct at the Musprat Chemical Works just down the road in Flint. Before the railway came along, this inlet from the River Dee was a bustling port. With wharves and cranes, it handled iron ore and coal from the mines around Bagillt. However, it also handled passenger ferry services from Liverpool, Hoylake and Parkergate. Few clues remain today, but these wooden supports are clearly part of the original wharving. The arrival of the much quicker railway in 1848 marked the start of the demise of the shipping traffic. Extensive sidings were built here, with a goods yard. A goods shed remains today, along with just a handful of remnants of Bagillt Station. This footbridge is original and in its original place beside what was once a public level crossing. Looking closely reveals two platforms hiding underneath the overgrowth and greenery. Sadly, nothing remains of either the signal box or any other station buildings. In its day, Bagillt Station was a busy passenger station. The railway line itself stretches from Chester, eventually through to Holyhead. Today, the line comprises of just 2 tracks. In its heyday, however, the line here was quadruple with 4 tracks. It had a fast line and slow line. The slow line ran close to the 2 platforms we see today. It would be used by local service trains, which stopped at pretty much every station along the line. Another 2 tracks ran down the inside of the slow line tracks. This fast line allowed express services to overtake the slower local trains. Eventually, just as the railway led to the demise of the shipping industry, the popularity and convenience of road transport led to the eventual demise of Bagillt Station. The 1900s also saw much of the local industry closing down. The collieries, the quarries and the ore mines. Bagillt Station closed for freight use in 1964. and the infamous beaching cuts saw Bagillt station closed to passenger traffic in 1966. At different times throughout the 19th century, there were at least 11 coal pits just in Bagillt alone. The largest was Betisfield Colliery, which we'll take a look at in a separate video. Meanwhile, I hope that you've enjoyed watching this video as much as I've enjoyed researching and making it. I'll see you soon. Meanwhile, have a grand tour.